New advancements help investigators link a suspect to the infamous yogurt shop murders 3 decades after the crime.
The bottom line here is to get as much DNA evidence from the state and locals into the national database.
How new technology and new legislation could help Texas solve more cold cases.
Their whole personality disappear is a very tough thing to watch.
Texas voters will soon decide if the state spends billions to boost dementia research. The plan has widespread support, but find out why some people are pushing back.
I never planned on running, but just living life prepped me for the run.
A Democrat stronghold now set up to send a Republican to Congress. We look at who's jumping in the race after changes to district lines.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm Dylan McKim. Josh Hinkle is on assignment. The Texas Attorney General's office estimates the state has nearly 20,000 unsolved homicides. But there's a break in one of the most notorious cases. Last week, police named a suspect in the 1991 murders of 4 teenage girls in a North Austin yogurt shop. Investigators now say DNA and ballistic evidence links Robert Eugene Brashears to the crime. Detectives call him a serial killer. He took his own life in 1999 during a standoff with police. The break in the yogurt shop case came in part due to advancements in investigation techniques. Capitol correspondent Adam Schwager looks closer at how technology and new legislation could help Texas solve more cold cases.
Robert Eugene Brashears wasn't known to be a serial killer until genetic evidence in 2018. At that time, Brashears had taken his own life 19 years earlier and is now accused of taking the lives of 4 teenage girls in Austin back in 1991.
So he's good for the sexual assaults and murders throughout the 90s that he never had to stand trial for.
At a news conference on Monday, Austin police and the Texas Attorney General's office walked through how they connected Brashears to the crime after 34 years using ballistics and YSTR chromosome profiling.
So this is something that could not have happened until 2025.
Lead detective Daniel Jackson says now is the time for detectives all across the country to resubmit cold case evidence they may have, because collaboration with departments across the nation solved this crime.
If you've got old shell casings, resubmit them to NIBIN. We are getting hits in other cases already.
In 2021, the Texas Attorney General's office opened its cold case unit. Their work played a key role in this case, and they're not done investigating.
As a statewide cold case unit, we will continue to investigate potential unsolved cases that might be related to this suspect.
Inspired by the yogurt shop murders, Austin area Congressman Michael McCaul helped author the Homicide Victims Family Rights Act in 2021, which allows families to petition the federal government to reopen a case gone cold for at least 3 years. The sister-in-law of one of the victims still thinks there's room to go.
Law enforcement far and near, please hear this. Open the cold case boxes, please. Put the evidence in the databases. Run the rape kits. Do not wait. Do it today.
For State of Texas, I'm Adam Schwager.
You heard Adam mention legislation by Congressman Michael McCaul to help families affected by cold cases. I sat down with the congressman to get his perspective on the break in the case and how his legislation could help solve other cases.
I've met with the families extensively, met with the cold case office and the Attorney General's office and Austin Police on this matter over the years. We were trying to get access to some of these commercial DNA databases. I passed the cold case bill that opens up, families can request a reopening of the case. But I think the bottom line here is to get as much DNA evidence from the state and locals into the national database so that we can make these determinations more quickly. I mean, this took 35 years. I applaud APD for what they have done in the Attorney General's office. But 35 years, you had 2 individuals who were prosecuted who now did not meet the legal requirements of being indicted in that case. And so I do think DNA doesn't lie. I mean, you know, it's not going to lie to you. It's not a forced confession. DNA will tell you the truth in every case. Really glad we had that DNA evidence from Amy, who unfortunately was raped and then shot in the head, and under her fingernails, that evidence that we were able to resubmit to that national database and get a positive hit. It really brings closure to the families, and and resolve this murder mystery. It's been out there for so many years.
And there was ballistics evidence in this case that the detective in this case said we were not able to solve this until 2025 when technology finally caught up. And it was really a call to all the investigators out there in the country, open up those cold cases, see what you can do with this evidence. And that's sort of what your bill does here is because, you know, the biggest advocates for these victims are going to be their families. And that allows them. Have you seen success like this?
We have. I mean, this whole cold case national database is starting to be put together starting in August. I would like to advance further legislation to make it a requirement state and locals put this DNA into the national, database so that we can solve these cases more, quickly and for the families too. This has been really hard on the families. And I can't imagine. I have 4 daughters. I can't imagine them going through something like this.
Sure. Well, let's move on. This is your last term in U.S. Congress. I've heard you say before in the past in interviews recently that things have shifted among Congress members, that things seem more performative, more partisan than they have in the past from your tenure in Congress. Is that the new normal, or do you see any path forward where we could start coming back together as Democrats, as Republicans, and be Americans first?
That's what I would like to see. That's the way I always conducted myself as both the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committee. Look, I didn't get elected to perform, scream and yell on TV and get YouTube, shots out there. I really wanted to govern. I wanted to get things passed into law, and I knew to do so I had to work across the aisle. I think the mood and temperament of Congress has changed in 20 years. Over the 2 decades I've served, where it's become more vitriolic, demonizing the other party has become very much in style, and I don't think it's very healthy. I think working together, particularly on national security committees like the ones I've chaired, is so important to speak with one voice against our adversaries, for instance. But also, I had the most effective committee in Congress last Congress because I did work with my ranking member, and we got those things done.
Anything else you'd like to add, sir?
It's just been an honor for me. My dad was a bombardier on a B-17, inspired me to serve my country in this space. I'm not going away, and it's been a real honor to serve the people of the 10th District. It's been a real learning experience, but as I look back on what I've been able to do in terms of making the country safer and the world safer and the impact I've been able to have in a constructive manner, I'm very proud of those accomplishments. And as I look back in time, I hope history will treat it that way. But I'll continue to be a voice on the national stage.
Yeah, what can we expect from you in the future?
We'll see. I'm dealing with offers right now. Ethics prohibits me from talking about that kind of stuff. But I always want to stay in the space that I've been in for so long, going back to Chief of Counterterrorism right here in Austin, U.S. Attorney's Office, Deputy Attorney General for Criminal Justice in the Attorney General's Office. So anyway, it's just been a true honor, and I think it's good to let go of power. It's humbling, but it's also very liberating. There are 4 ways to leave Congress. You can die in office, which I didn't want to do. You can lose. You can be indicted, or you can go out on top. I feel like I'm going out on my terms. I did it my way, as Frank Sinatra said, and I feel like I'm going out on top.
All right, Representative Sinatra, signing off. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for your service.
Thanks, Dylan.
A plan to provide billions to fight dementia and Alzheimer's will soon be in the hands of Texas voters. The promise and the concerns over boosting research. And later, redistricting brings a big change to the field in one race for Congress. We'll look at how Republicans are now pushing to get on the ballot in this formerly blue district. This November, Texans will have the choice to vote on 17 constitutional amendments. Among them is Proposition 14, a $3 billion initiative to make Texas a leader in the search for a treatment for dementia. The initiative has been praised as an important step in finding a treatment, but some lawmakers question whether taxpayers should be footing the bill.
All of these creations around the house, which I never have taken down.
The walls of Vic Figarelli's home are adorned with artwork from the desert Southwest, all of them purchased or made by his late wife, Camille.
Testimony to her creativity.
He describes his wife as a social butterfly who loved to be with friends and family, cook, and do puzzles.
So this is the room.
So much so that Vic made sure she had her own room in the house to work on those puzzles.
I had a fan put in here.
But after she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, that room remained empty as the wife he knew slowly disappeared.
She could not even handle a 14-piece puzzle.
Figarelli said she started having hallucinations. Day-to-day life became difficult.
And there was no sense in planning for tomorrow because she would forget when tomorrow came.
There are hundreds of thousands of stories like this one across the state. It's why the Texas legislature worked to create the Dementia Prevention Research Institute of Texas. It would direct $3 billion of funds over the next decade to further research into dementia. Joanne Pike, the CEO of the Alzheimer's Association, is advocating for the institute.
We need more opportunities to progress within our research and bring more treatments through the pipeline.
But a few Texas lawmakers argue private companies should fund that research to save taxpayer dollars.
Adding more spending, even for well-intended causes, is fiscally irresponsible.
But Pike argues, even without the initiative, Texans would still bear a cost because of the impact on the state's Medicaid program.
Medicaid is covering $4.3 billion annually for Texans who have dementia.
This was May of 2015.
Figarelli lost his wife 9 years ago. He hopes one day stories like this will cease to exist.
To have their whole personality disappear is a very tough thing to watch.
Monday is the deadline to register to vote for the constitutional amendment election. November 4th is Election Day.
And when I looked at it, and then I saw the importance of the race.
It's a blue district, but redistricting aims to make it red. Now, one state rep is throwing his hat in the ring, hoping his ties to the community will help him win a seat in Congress. The first legal challenge to the state's redrawn congressional map is underway. A panel of 3 federal judges in El Paso is hearing days of arguments over the redistricting plan. Their decision will determine whether the new map will take effect for next year's elections. The map is designed to help Texas Republicans gain 5 seats in Congress. One big change would be in District 35 in Central Texas. Currently, the district lines stretch from East Austin south to San Antonio. It's a blue district. Austin Democrat Greg Casar holds the seat, but he's already planning to run in a different district if the new map gets cleared by the courts. His home in Austin would not be a part of the new District 35. Take a look. This is the new district. It covers an area mostly south and east of San Antonio, and it's drawn to favor a Republican. That's led several Republicans to announce intentions to run. That includes San Antonio State Representative John Lujan. I spoke with him about his decision to run in the new District 35.
I had no intentions of running. In fact, kind of almost wanted to think of an exit strategy. I've been a state rep twice. I have a very tough district. My district is the most competitive district in Texas during the House races. I'm the first and only Republican to ever win this seat in the history of Texas. Almost all of my district is in the new 35. I had some really good friends saying, John, if you really care about the country, he goes, this seat is super important so that we can continue to have the majority as a Republican Party on the federal level, and you're the only guy to win the 118 on the House state level. Yeah. Says you would have a really, really good chance of winning this for the federal, the CD 35. And so I don't want to sound corny or nothing, and I'm not doing this for political reasons, but I'm a man of faith, and my dad's a retired minister, and my mom's retired school principal. I called them. We got all my brothers and sisters together, nieces, nephews, my boys. I have 5 boys. They're all grown men. Everybody at my mom's house, and I shared with everybody, this is what I'm asked to do. This is what I'm thinking of doing. Yeah. What do you think? And it was a lot of fun because there's a lot of teasing in the family, people making fun and stuff. But then we got talking and we prayed about it. Everybody said, man, this is the thing to do. I do live by, man, I got to be responsible for what God puts in my path for the things that I do and don't do. And I just have to live some of the stuff that I preach to our young people. And, sure. And so then we decided to run about 3 weeks ago. First thing I did is called my buddy Mark White and said, hey, I'm going to run. I know you were going to run. And he said, no, since you're running, he goes, I'm endorsing you, and I'm pulling out. And we've got a lot of good endorsements from a lot of state reps, some U.S. Congress folks, and then a lot of mayors from the cities that are in my district. Mm-hmm. I have a good reputation. I work very hard. We have 10 reps in Bexar County, and I passed the most legislation out of all of those this last session, brought in the most money. I work really hard for my district, and so now I'm going to be doing this on the U.S. standpoint.
You seem passionate about education, about making sure people have a future ahead of them. What do you think are the issues in that district that will get people to go to the polls?
I think, bringing on Wilson County, Karnes, and Guadalupe. I'm familiar with Wilson and Karnes more so than Guadalupe County. I'm going to be meeting those folks, but those areas are rural areas looking for economic development, looking for, where do our kids, the kids that live in Floresville and Seguin, some of the bigger cities, and they're still small cities, they get educated and stuff and they leave because there's nothing there. So I was meeting this past weekend, I was meeting with some folks from Wilson County, some leadership folks, and they want to bring some industry, so we're brainstorming. So workforce, economic development, very, very important. One of the things, if I have to say I got to put a feather in my cap, was we now have JCB in San Antonio, which is a big manufacturing company out of England where they build these big tractors and front-end loaders. I worked with Governor Abbott's team to get that. There was 10 cities throughout the United States competing. It went down to 2, us in Atlanta, Georgia. We ended up winning it. But I had to work with Judge Sakai, our county judge, or CPS, our electrical folks, the water folks. It was a lot of work getting that together. I love that, man. I have fun. And then we won it, and it's in my district. And they're building a 1 million square foot building right now. Every time I drive by, it's up and up and up. By this time next year, it'll be employing 1,500 new high-paying jobs. So those are the kind of things that, and it's not so much that I'm super smart. What I feel like I'm good at is bringing people together, bringing everybody to a consensus, common sense approach on things, and then make things work.
Republican voters will have a lot of candidates to choose from in the race for District 35. Up next, we'll meet a candidate who says his own experience working on Capitol Hill sets him above the field. Congressional District 35 is currently drawn to favor Democrats, but new maps approved by the legislature made it a red district. Now, several Republicans are planning to run in next year's primary. Josh Cortez filed paperwork 1 day before lawmakers approved the new map. He previously worked as an advisor to Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz. I spoke with Cortez about his decision to get in the race. Tell us a little bit about what policies matter to you, what issues matter to you, and what are you running on?
Sure. Our area, first of all, has, it's now going to be, as you know, it's the old 35th was closer to this area in Austin. Right. The new 35th is going to be down in Guadalupe County, Wilson County, Karnes County, and it has about a fourth of Bexar County. So it's a much more concentrated region, and it has a lot of shared issues. Even though it's the outskirts of San Antonio, between that and also the rural ranch lands and the oil areas of Karnes City, and then also Wilson and Guadalupe County and the ranch and agrarian ecosystems that they have, there's a lot of shared needs. Some of the things that are upcoming, that are on the horizon for us, we have a water crisis that's brewing. That's not necessarily unique to us as a Central Texas issue, that's a South Texas issue. Our water tables are rapidly decreasing. Our aquifer is also the same as well. It's decreasing. Our wells are also going down. And we have an impending water crisis that we need to address. And that's something that, with the connections I already have in DC and my ability to be able to utilize those connections for the good of the people of Texas 35th, we're going to try to get ahead of. We have road issues too as well. Our roads are consistently being torn up. We need to get ahead of some of the road issues, especially as we expand and the area becomes more and more developed. We have a lot of people moving to the area from areas like San Antonio and other areas of Texas, and we need to get ahead of our infrastructure issues. Lastly, with AI and what it's coming, the impending crisis that is continuing to bring, there was a recent study that just said about 25% of incoming or outgoing freshman students, and about 25% of graduating students from the university, they are having their jobs eaten up by AI, especially in these entry-level jobs. And in our area, we're workers. We're a working district. Our ability to be able to put our students in some of the vocational schools or some of the junior colleges, some of the trade schools that are available is going to be of high importance. We can have our students and to move them towards plumbing certifications or to be electricians or to be welders, jobs that AI is not eating up, opportunities for them to be able to make money early on, get their license, and also become part of the fabric of the economies of our region.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked you that you think our viewers should know?
I think some of the background too that maybe I didn't touch on earlier is my very first job was with our Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison. So knowing how Texas politics works and how that works in DC is something that is of utmost importance to the people of the district. My ability to hit the ground running on day one is going to be huge. There's no on-the-job training that we have time for. We need things done ASAP, and I will hire the people on my team, and I'll have the knowledge and the connections to hit the ground running in Congress for Texas 35th District.
2 other Republicans recently launched campaigns for the redrawn District 35. That includes trucking business owner Christopher Schuchart and Carlos de la Cruz, who's the brother of Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz. And 2 Republicans who announced their intent to run before lawmakers redrew District 35 are still in the race. That's Pastor Ryan Krause and law enforcement veteran Stephen Wright. Meanwhile, Democrat John Lira launched his campaign earlier this week. He's a Marine Corps veteran. Lira will face business owner Whitney Masterson Moyes in next year's Democratic primary. Well, thank you again for joining us for State of Texas. We'll be back next week to bring you an in-depth look at Texas politics.